Hi, it's me again, sharing from this amazing spot in these trees again. And I'm sharing about the International Rebellion protests in London. And I thought I'd pair this together with Notre Dame, Our Lady in Paris, who is steaming on fire. What I wanted to do was draw these together and draw some links together that I'm seeing, and to share that with you, and it might bring some insight in one aspect. So basically, the Extinction Rebellion protests, protesting for the rights of the earth and for shifting the structures that surround what's basically supporting climate change, which changing those structures so that they can be more supportive for a holistic answer towards our devastational problem that's happening not only in the UK but obviously around the world. So it's really pushing, and this international rebellion, it's international. And what is really interesting about it is that it's not violent, it's not looking away. It's really facing the problem at the core and coming at it directly like an arrow. And one sign I saw was change structures, not the climate. Structural change, not climate change, which is essentially what's going on. It's let's change the skeletal system of the government, and they're asking for community groups to stand up. So they're asking they're compelling the government. We need to have human kind of like society groups where we connect together and share on our ideas and how we can basically stop pushing the agenda to shift our pollution rates and CO2 levels and so on and so forth. So there's that, and it's at the center of it, and I shared a video from a friend who recorded when she was there yesterday at the Parliament. There's at the center of it, there's the call for Mother Earth. So there's the reconnecting to the sacredness of our divine Mother Earth. And as I've been researching indigenous cultures around the world, looking at how they honor the sacredness of the rights of nature. Like, for example, if you look at this beautiful pine cone, it has a pattern in the way that it's formed. So you see the circle spirals in the way that the little leaves, or the, I don't know what you call them, like the petals of the pine cone spiral. And that's related there to Fibonacci. So if you look at Pythagoras, there's a whole geometry and mathematics behind the patterns of the universe. And that might look random, it's entirely unrandom because it's all according to a divine pattern. So ancient cultures, tribal cultures, really value this way of seeing their lives, and their lives are so interwoven with the land that when they are ripped away from their land by monstrous companies who want to profit and make money from their land, when they're torn away and sent to leave, they have huge psychic breakdown. And I really was impacted by that when I watched George, I don't know how you pronounce it, George Monbiot, his video about coming out of an age of crisis and wreckage and understanding our psychic current scenario where we are living in a place where we're disconnected to the land, and these ancient tribes understand those sacred places. So we think, yeah, it's really a whole remembering. It's not even, it's remembering, returning to something that's been lost from us. So there's the sacred Mother Earth. Now turning to Notre Dame, we have the Lady of Flame, and a friend of mine was talking about how this is built on an ancient site of the goddess Isis. So obviously all of our churches and cathedrals, the majority of them would have been built on these sacred sites because there was an honor for those sacred sites back in those days. So this was particularly attributed to Isis. So have a look yourself and see what you find. But it's interesting to see that because Isis is another name for Ishtar, and I think she was Sumerian. I have to check that, but it's one of those regions, Northern Africa, Middle Eastern regions. Isis and Ishtar are synonymous. And the story of Ishtar is coming out of the deep dark, you could say, I don't know, the underworld, the distress, the winter, coming out of that space and going, you know, recollecting and learning from that, and then coming into the light and rising up out of the ashes like the phoenix. Now that's really interesting, because so we have the burning Notre Dame, the fires of passion, of rising, and the structure of the cathedral being changed. Interesting link to the structures of government and society that want to be changed to accommodate for Mother Earth. And here we have Isis, who is a female archetype, and Ishtar. Now interesting, this is all happening on Holy Easter week. So Ishtar is incredibly related to Easter, and there is a link there with the etymology of the names. And essentially the original pagan festival was about Ishtar, and was about the female goddess arising out of the earth, because that's exactly what nature does. She arises and she produces fertility. So it's about the feminine aspect, which in turn is masculine, but it's really focusing on that archetype of Ishtar coming up and out and blooming as this beautiful, fertile provider, nurturer, transporter into the next season. So as we focus on that, it's interesting, as we're celebrating Jesus Christ rising, there is this rising from the dead, rising from the ashes. And as the cathedral burns, we can focus on rising something new, focus on the positive and the what can come out of this. And the similar for the structures of Extinction Rebellion that are protesting for. It's what can come through this shift, what can come as a result of that, and what is being birthed anew. And that's essentially what I wanted to share, because there is a huge birthing of something extremely fiery and passionate, which we're seeing coming through now. So yeah, so those are my links in those two current scenarios, and I hope you have an incredible Easter week and enjoy the rising and the passion.